We're going to talk some Jermall Charlo, some real, deep, truth, factual talk about Jermall Charlo and, you know, what should be the move at middleweight for him. And, you know, it's going to be the last boxing video I'll at least drop until after the Jesse Hart and Gilberto Ramirez fight come on. Y'all know how I feel about that fight. ESPN, I think the card kicks off at 10 p.m. Michael Callin, Irish gold medal boxing champion, will be on that card as well. Felix Verdejo fell off the card with an injury. So, you know, we about free boxing, or at least basic cable boxing. And definitely go check that out, y'all dig. But talk about Jermall Charlo. You got, you know, different guys sitting on different sides of the fence. And, you know, people from Texas are highly biased towards their boxers like anybody else would be. You know, they are. You know, they want to tell you that this guy should jump in with Golovkin right now. They want to tell you that Earl Spence will walk on water and take he'd take a fish and take a loaf of bread and feed 1 billion people. You know, and that's how they do down there. They ain't got a lot of great boxers down there no more. A lot of people ain't got a lot of great boxers that come from the United States no more, from their hometown. It just ain't cut like that no more. So definitely root on, brothers. But I'm going to just, you know, give y'all some bone chilling, God honest truth right here. Should Jermall Charlo be forced to fight Golovkin next as far as the WBC? Absolutely. I'm going to side with y'all on this one, because for the simple fact, I make this parallel and this comparison right here. Triple G was handed the belt, which was vacated by Canelo Alvarez and given to him. Jermall Charlo was, you know, handed a belt. Well, he had to fight for a vacant belt versus John Jackson. The WBC treated him like shit. Made him fight 2 mandatory defenses, which was Charles Hatley, who didn't deserve defense. He didn't deserve to fight for the title. It was easy money. And now they're making him fight 21-year-old Central Florida native Eric Salubin as a mandatory. He had to fight to get the belt, and he had to fight 2 mandatory. Triple G was handed the belt, didn't have to fight for the belt, wasn't anything sanctioned for the belt. And he didn't have to fight, not a mandatory yet. And it doesn't look like they're going to force him to fight a mandatory. They're going to let him do what he wants to do now. Billy Joe Saunders, Cotto, then fight Canelo. So that's 2 more fights that went by without him having to fight for a mandatory belt. So he fought the Jacobs fight. He fought the Canelo fight. He gonna fight the Cotto or the Billy Joe Saunders fight if he fights in December. And then Canelo. That's 4 fights that he didn't have to fight. Didn't have to fight a mandatory for his WBC belt that was handed to him. You see how these sanctioning bodies are shady as fuck? He's gonna go at least 4 fights without having to defend his belt, his mandatory. And Jorge Sebastian Hyland was his mandatory for quite some time since he got the belt, and they allowed Jorge Sebastian Hyland not to get any step aside money. They kept him at number 1. Then, after he been number 1 for 2 or 3 years for that belt, set through, you know, Canelo and Cotto probably, and then Golovkin. You know, they made him go put his number 1 status on line to fight Jermall Charlo. So Charlo is the mandatory, and Golovkin should be forced to fight the mandatory, because he's not fighting a unification bout if it's not versus Billy Joe Saunders next. And Billy Joe Saunders said he wants to fight him, but I just dropped the video. Team Golovkin wants to go after Miguel Cotto. If that's the fact, you know, if that's the case, I mean, he must be forced to fight Jermall Charlo. Jermall Charlo is the number 1 mandatory challenger. Golovkin should not be able to go 4 fights without, facing his mandatory obligations. And Abel Sanchez, Golovkin trainer, said they will not fight Jermall Charlo unless the WBC forces their hand. And the WBC is going to ride with Golovkin because he can bring more money and more fan for to Jermall Charlo. That's not right. But from my perspective, just from an overall clean landscape of the division, I feel that Jermall Charlo, I side with Abel Sanchez right here, should have another fight. I mean, it should be against Billy Joe Saunders, Danny Jacobs, David Lemieux. One of those 3, Canelo Alvarez possibly. I know that never going to happen. He should. Danny Jacobs had to pull off 3 cards. He had to pull off the Canelo Golovkin card because he couldn't find an opponent. He had to pull off the another card he had to pull off of. I can't remember. But now he's pulled off the the October 14th date. He pulled off of that one. That was the junior middleweight triple header, or the Abner Mares Leo Santa Cruz co-feature card. So that was the second fight card he had to pull off. Now he's pulling off the Ortiz and Deontay Wilder card because he can't get an opponent. Now he's saying Billy Joe Saunders is running from him. Billy Joe Saunders just called out Amir Khan and then Golovkin. He's not going to lose his title to Danny Jacobs because then, you know, it would be nice because then Golovkin going to have to rematch Danny Jacobs and he won't do that. He just, you know, I don't want to be undisputed no more. We know how he cut. He's not the tough guy that want to fight all tough challengers. I done said that a million times. You can see that with Ray Charles' eyes. But yeah, this guy legitimately should have another fight. I'm saying if Danny Jacobs can't get an opponent, Jermall Charlo should be ready by December. Let's make that fight happen. You know, Al Heyman seems to got pressure from Showtime, wherever, to make Ortiz and Wilder happen. If you're gonna put two of your main hogs together, why don't you do it again? Put Danny Jacobs and Jermall Charlo. Jermall Charlo said he'll fuck Danny Jacobs up. He dissed Philly. He dissed Jesse Hart that's fighting tonight. Said he'll move up and whip his ass. Make Danny Jacobs and Jermall Charlo happen. Make it happen. Because if you do that, that's forces the hand that people is really going to demand to see Golovkin and the Canelo rematch winner fight these guys. I understand that it's not a world title on the line, and these promoters don't want to put fights as main events without world titles being on the line. But who gives a fuck? You know, I understand that the world title attracts the casual fanfare, but come on, I think more and more people are aware that it's like 18,000 titles per division. Nobody cares, and I think people is going to gravitate towards this matchup to make it happen, for it to happen. I think people are going to support it. You know, I understand that they probably want to grow both of these guys into, you know, bigger personalities in the sport of boxing, but fuck that. Put them in a ring together. You know, if they don't want to fight each other, then you go pay that price to Oscar. You get David Lemieux over here to put him in there with one of them. You go pay that price. You try to get Nadam, the Ryota winner, put him in there with him. I don't even know when they fight, so that might not be possible. You pay that price to find somebody that's worthy and co-feature these guys and then put them in the ring together next year. You know, if it's David Lemieux, if it's Billy Joe Saunders, Ryota Nadam winner, you know, if it's Luis Arias, former TMT fighter, you pay that cash and or just put these guys together and let them fight for the right to fight Golovkin. If you can't get Billy Joe Saunders and David Lemieux to co-feature with both of these guys in the ring. Because that's factual, man. That Jermall Charlo should have a real middleweight fight before he steps in there with Gennady Golovkin. He really should. And that's not me, you know, being a Golovkin fan-tard or being a Charlo hater. It's just me from a boxing standpoint. It's the benefit of Jermall Charlo from fighting a real middleweight and getting clout and not being avoided and having a PR and a rep and a clout amongst the fans and the media to say, oh, that's the guy. Oh, he destroyed Danny Jacobs. He knocked out Danny Jacobs. He did something Golovkin couldn't do. I want to see him fight Golovkin. And you getting word of mouth, and that's what he needs. He needs word of mouth. He needs to do something fantastic at the middleweight division. And that's my opinion. Let me know what y'all think. Guess what? We gone.